you don't, it's like, okay, they live just like how we live, So when I got off the plane and we got outside, I was like, oh wow, okay. Because if you listen to what people say, you won't go, you know. Um, if you get nervous, like I don't know where it came from, but like the couple of days before I was going to finish packing, me and Dawn, I called, girl, I almost had a breakdown. I was just like, girl, you too? I was like, girl, what's that about? Because they say you're scared of the unknown. You thinking it's like this, you think, and then you listen to what my mother say, or something gonna happen, voodoo, or this and that. You're gonna get sick, you're gonna get bit with this and now all that's going through your mind. And then when you get there, you be like, oh man, they ain't even the case.
Maximum Impact Travel, and just all of the conversations I've had have been enlightening on so many different levels, because I've been able to hear so many different experiences, perspectives, accounts of their journey. And so today is no different. And today I want to introduce you to someone who went on the journey, and she's going to share her story. And I know it's going to be a lively discussion. So Miss Dottie, how are you today?
I'm well, and yourself? I'm well.
Oh, great. Well, let me say this. I'm glad that you went on the journey with us, and I guess walk us through it a little bit, as I guess when you made the decision to go, what was that like, or how did you come to the decision, or making the decision to go to Africa and Ghana in particular?
Well, I always wanted to travel to a faraway place, but just to go about it, I never really knew how. I never really had a visa. So when I seen you put up a Maximum Impact about going to Ghana as well as some other places, then I was like, oh, that is my opportunity. Where you had everything mapped out for us, and you had roles and probably others that we can email if we had any question. And because I know I had a lot of questions, and we had to remember it was no question that was too silly to ask, and that your group was there to help us, to prepare us, to help us get the visa, the passport. So once I seen that you and Maximum Impact had everything set in stone, this step, that step, then I said it made me a little bit more easy to prepare for the trip. It's a lot of steps that you have to go through. You just have to be willing to, take the steps. Don't get discouraged. It is a process you have to go through, but once everything is done, you're glad I was glad for myself that I had everything done. I just had to stay on top of each and everything to prepare myself for Ghana.
Well, and that's the interesting thing that you say, because a lot of times that will be a deterrent for someone. They'll say, oh my goodness, I have to go, and oh, it's all of this going on, and I don't know how to do this, and I don't know how to do that. But you made a very interesting point when you said, once you go through the steps, and a lot of times we'll magnify the steps, and it'll be more than what we think it is. And then by the time you get through it, you're like, what, I'm glad I got through it. And you look back at it and say, what, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I was
right.
Expecting this, I was expecting that. Now, oh my goodness. But there are a lot of people who have a lot of questions. And that's the one thing that, I was telling the team, I said, we want to make sure that this is what I was telling everybody. I said, I know I'm American in a sense, meaning I was raised American.
Right.
So when this topic of Africa comes up, it's already going to be met with some form of resistance, so whether it's internal, whether it's external, social, something's going to somehow try to be, okay, why do you want to do that? What are you thinking? What's going on? So I said, well, let's make sure that we answer as many questions as we can and be as responsive as we can, because I know how we've been raised. I know how we've been taught in this country. So to hear you say that, and I'll be sure to let the team know, say, hey, okay, you all were on it. because Dottie was able to get her questions answered and go through the process. So now, what when you finally made the decision to go and you went through the process, when you got to Ghana, what was the most? I guess what started impacting you the most when you got there and got on the ground and started seeing everything?
Well, from what we was taught and raised, and what we've learned over the years, it was nothing like that. Like, we got off the plane, we got outside. I'm like, okay. Even to the simplest things as, oh, they got sidewalk. Oh, okay. You know, they got bridges. You know, excuse me, my you know,
no, we good. We good.
You know, my cat, she's in the background. You know,
that's hard to have cats too.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and things like that. You know, I had a family member tell me when I caught them saying that I was here, they said, they got sidewalks. I said, oh, see, that's the problem. That's the problem where we think, you know, something like that simple. They got bridges, they got grass, you know. So, and I was like, yeah, then that's why you should have came, you know. So I didn't know like really like what to expect.
Right.
So when I got off the plane and we got outside, I was like, oh, okay, you know, this is gonna be okay. You know, they live just like we live. You know, they got sidewalks, grass, you know, bridges. But from what we were taught growing up, you expect to go out there, everything is dirt. Nothing is they don't have a sidewalk. You're walking on the side of the road, you know, to the point where they got lights, you know.
Right, you even think it's the lights, like even the lights.
Right, you know, street lights. So, you know, you don't, it's like, okay, they live just like how we live, you know. So when I got off the plane and we got outside, I was like, oh, wow, okay. You know, because if you listen to what people say, you won't go, you know. If you get nervous, like, I don't know where it came from, but before the couple of days before I was going for this packing, me and Dawn, you know, I said, girl, I almost had a breakdown. I was just like, girl, you too? I said, girl, what's that about? Because they say you're scared of the unknown. You know, you thinking it's like this, you think, and then you listen to what my mother say, you know, something gonna happen, voodoo, or this and that. You're gonna get sick, you're gonna get bit with this and that all that's going through your mind. And then when you get there, you be like, oh man, that ain't even the case. You know, they need to come, you know, but because this is what you think it is and it's not. So when I got off the plane, I was like, oh, okay, you know, it's not what we were told growing up.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. And I mean, as you said it, I think that was the same thing that resonated with me when I first got off the plane, and this was back in November 2018. So this was like a year before the trip that we all took. And I got off the plane, and I've told a few people in our discussions that I got angry. I was angry because I said, wait a minute. I said, I've been afraid of a place that I had no business being afraid of for my entire life.
Right.
And that sparked something in me because I was like, wait a minute. I know millions of Americans who are afraid to go. I don't know them personally, but I know us, you know, afraid to go to Africa because one, we think Africa is one country. So we think all of Africa is the same.
Right.
And we're just afraid. Like, I was waiting for the same thing. I'm like, well, I was like, well, oh wow, they have street light. Wow, they have what? A Mercedes-Benz dealership, a Land Rover dealership. Wait a minute here. A Holiday Inn, a Marriott. Right. What is this? What? Right. I said, oh, okay. I mean, the food, they cook their food. You know, it was almost like I was embarrassed to even admit that I was thinking like that, because it's like, like how ignorant am I? That was really, So at that point I said, you know what? I said, we have to do something about it. So, all right. So you got there, you saw everything was different. What are some other things that you kind of started absorbing as you were going on this experience with everyone?
Well, what I know, first of all, it's like, okay, everybody is just as human as we are. They're trying to make a living just like we are. It might be on a different level, but they are trying to make a living and trying to survive just like we survive. The hospitality there was amazing. The people that I met was amazing. It's no fear of what people were telling us, and something that you point out when you said leave America in America. And that is so true. You have to go with an open mind and be able to take in the way that they live, to understand them, which is our people, to understand, so I was just very open-minded of the people that I met, the people that we ran into, the places that we visit was really an eye-opener for me. It was just 160% different than what I thought it would be. It was definitely an experience. It was, I learned a lot. And to go back some, when I was getting my visa, you could get your visa for a year, and I think it might be an in-between year or 5 years.
Okay.
So as I was getting my visa, I said, no, I'm not getting it for 1 year. I haven't even been to Ghana, and I'm still getting my visa. I said, I want a visa for 5 years because I just got a feeling I'm going to go back.
Oh, wow.
So I said, instead of going through all those steps, you got to do all of that again. Let me just get it for 5 years. I just had a feeling I was going to go back. Because at first for me, it was like, I wasn't afraid of going to Ghana. What for me was the 10-hour flight. Fly.
Talk about that now.
While I got nervous towards the end of leaving, is because I don't like to fly, but once I made it through that, once we got through in the plane land, I said, okay, I'm good. I can do this again. Like that going home 11 hours was nothing. That was literally, didn't even seem that long. Once I got over the 10-hour flight, I knew I was going to be good. You
said a lot right there, because so many people get hung up on that flight. They're thinking, oh, I can't do the long flight. I got hung up on it. Because I'd never been on a 10-hour flight. I'd done a 3-hour flight. I'd even done a 4-hour flight. And I was like, okay, wow, 10 hours on a plane. Oh, how's this going to be?
Yes.
And when I remember getting on the plane on that first trip and sitting down and saying, wow, I'm going to be on this plane for 10 hours. But I knew on the other side of that 10 hours, something was going to change. Exactly. I did not know what was going to happen.
Right.
But I knew something was going to change. And so, like you said, when I came back, man, those 11 hours, I was like, whatever.
Exactly.
So you got the visa. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
No, because and like what you said, to piggyback off what you said, because like you said, once I got off that flight, did the 10 hours, I know it was going to be a life changer for me. I know that I was going to see things differently. I know that I was going to come home and my mind is racing. Okay, where can I go next? Okay, how can I help? So I knew going was not like a vacation. I knew I was going to experience some things. I knew I was going to learn more about our history. So and I agree with you when you said that it was definitely a life changer for me.
Well, that's good. And then, okay, now you said you got your visa for more than a year, knowing that you were going to go back.
Yes.
So now, so I heard a rumor that you were going back.
Yes, sir. November. Yes, I'm ready to go.
I heard a rumor. It was a rumor. I said, wait a minute. So you're actually coming back with us in November 2020.
Yes.
Now that's huge because it's like it impacted you so much to the point where you're coming back again.
Yes.
Wow. That is, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that's really amazing to hear, because all I wanted to do was just kind of be a vehicle for people to get introduced to it. But now I see that there's something else happening, because it's like, wow, wanting to come back and really taking the time to do that. So with that, we'll talk about that in a second, but what are some other things? Like when you went to the dungeons, how did that impact you going to the dungeons?
That was rough. That was hard on me, because, and to hear the tour guide tell us, how many people was down there. It's dark, only thing I can think about is our people down here being treated this way. so many women or men packed in the cave dungeons, on or and can't even move, just to think, crying out for help, that hit me hard. To think like that could have been my mom, my dad, my kids, my neighbors, my co-workers, people that was with us on this experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that really, you hear and you see stuff about it, like you grow up watching Roots. You would, they show you down in there, but to go in the dungeon and see the light, it's just like a little square at the top of the cave. And then one of the dungeons we went in, we had to keep bending down to go lower and lower. And I was like, okay, how much lower we got to go? I can't go but down so low. You have to keep, and you just kind of put yourself in that place where they were at. So that really, it really hit hard for me. Like, you can explain to people your experience, but they won't know and experience it until they go and see it for themselves, because everyone feels different ways about it, and to go to the it was the last the door of no return.
Yes, the
when
small
they showed
one.
us, yes, when they showed us that door, before he even opened it, I got scared, like knowing I'm gonna come back through, but I got scared, like,
one at Cape Coast, the big one,
Cape Coast. Okay. Exactly. When he saw that door, literally I got scared. Like, I almost put myself in their shoes. Like, if this was really going to happen to me, because it happened to our people,
mm-hmm.
So that really, really hit hard, and it hit home for me. Really, really hard.
Yeah. It's a lot of, cause I knew when I was planning, I knew I was going to go to Africa at some point. This was back in 2018. I said, okay, I need to go to Africa. And I was like, okay, where am I going to go?
Right.
And I said, well, it has to be some place that's going to make sense for me to because I just don't want to go to the continent for the sake of going to the continent. It's like, I need to go somewhere to help me kind of understand some things. And so I that's where Ghana came in, because I knew they had the dungeons there. And I knew that there was something. I said, I just need to see it. I've watched Roots, like you said. I've watched Roots. I've seen the rivers crossed, or I think another documentary that was out there. And I said, I just need to go. And first time I went, I was just like, it.
Yeah.
And again, everybody responds differently to it, but when you really hear the history that you won't hear, it's just like you get a side of history from that part, that side of the world that you won't get here, even though they'll put it on TV and say it. But it's like when you're in that space, it's just completely different. And that's what I've heard so many people say. So yeah. What are some other things that stuck out to you as far as the trip? Because I know we did a lot. It was a lot over those 8 days. What are some other things?
It was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. We've seen a lot, and I seen the beauty in Ghana, like the resort areas we went to. Like, you would never know that. You would never know the beautiness in Ghana if you don't go. The areas that we've seen, every area has their downside and has their upside. So when you go there and you see that, you're like, okay. We're all in the same we're all on the same level to a certain extent,
right,
because we're all trying to make a living. We have some areas that's up, and we have some areas that are not up, and just to see their realness, just to see that they're trying to live, just to see that they're not how can I say, all prideful, that they appreciate what they have.
Yes.
So, because living here and in New York, some people don't appreciate what they have. I know for me, when I came back home, I woke up the next morning and I was in the kitchen and I turned on the water fountain, and I felt guilty. I was like, ooh, look how simple it was for you to turn on your water fountain. They have to go outside and turn on the thing with a bucket.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it may, and it made me, I always appreciate, thank God for what I have, but I appreciate it even more, like, and whether you, and I'm not saying for us, it could be people all around. Like, we complain about so much, but we have a lot.
Yeah.
We wish we had this, we wish we had this, and we wish we had that. But to go to Ghana and see how, how they live, you're like, it makes you think, I'm complaining about this. I got running water. Yeah. I have shoes to wear. Not saying everyone there didn't have shoes. You've seen some people that did and some people that didn't. So and that's what it just the way they welcome us.
Yeah.
Because, and it was so funny. I had Dawn laughing because they said, well, welcome home. And this is our mindset. I said, I don't live here. Well, they're gonna welcome me home. Literally, I was thinking that to myself. I was like, they did not know I don't live, But as we went on and as the tour and the trip went on, I said, oh yes, I am home. So they said, welcome home. I said, okay, thank you, but me not thinking, these are your people, you are home, So it's just, they welcome you. They just welcome you with open arms. They, like I said, the hospitality is wonderful. They are, how can I say it? So grateful for what they have. Mm-hmm. So grateful.
They're very resourcely.
Yes.
If you remember, when we were riding, you would see the street vendors, and this is kind of paint a picture for everybody.
Oh yeah, yes.
So you'll see like vendors everywhere. I mean, as everywhere you go, there are vendors, and but you have everything you need. So in other words, whether you need bushmeat, which is a whole other story, or whatever you need,
they had it.
Handkerchiefs, if you need a casket, if you need
yes,
whatever you need, you can find it. And so there, in the way that it is that when you have, like, you'll see in some of the villages where they have one well where they have to pump the water for themselves, so they're out there pumping water. And then you have other places where, it's like, just like here in America. So it's so as you go through it, it's like you gain an appreciation across the board. So it's like you don't pity them at all, but you're kind of like, wow, y'all working it out. Y'all are making some things happen. But then when you come back home, like you said, a lot of things we complain about, we have no reason to be complaining. It's like,
exactly.
If you took all of us and put us over there, we just die within 3 days.
Yes, because to see the ladies, even some of the men, but the ladies with the thing, balancing the thing on their head,
right.
And I'm like, it gotta be taped down to something, but it's not. Then they had the baby on the front of them or behind them, or you seen some of the men that was doing the same thing. I'm looking at them like, wow, like how many hours a day? But this is the way they make a living. Now, and like for us, you come put me out there with something over my head because it's gonna fall, it ain't gonna stay, But just to see that, like, to me, that's strength.
Yes.
Like, that's powerful, And just to like, and one lady had something on her hand. She had a baby in front of her, and we caught eye contact while I was on the bus, and I could see her eyes that she is so serious at what she's doing because she has to make it work.
Yeah,
this is her livelihood, So to see that, I have respect for each and every person, male or female, child or young adult. But I gained so much respect for our people when I went home to Ghana. So much more respect than what I had when I left Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yeah, because, and I think that's the part, as you said, that I feel every word of it, because that's the same thing that I walked away with. It was like, wow. It's almost like, in one part of me is like, do I really have it good like that? Because because they have something I don't have. I can't balance anything on my head. I remember when I was in another part of Africa, and I took off my shoes, and we were walking on some rocks to get to the beach water. I get down to the beach, but it was like I was going to catch a boat, and so it wasn't sand. It wasn't like you walking out. This is out in Zanzibar. I was walking out to the boat, And so God said, yeah, take off your shoes. And I took off my shoes and I'm walking on these rocks. And I was like, oh, I don't think I can. He said, you might want to put your shoes back on. He's out there barefoot and everything else.
Right.
I said, you see how they messed me up? You see how they made me all soft? You see what they did to me? I said, so it's but they just flow with it. And
yes,
it's something that in and of itself is a lesson. It's like, I remember a little girl. She was in one of the villages, and she had to be every bit of 6-7 years old. And she was pumping the water and taking it back to, I guess, to the house or whatever. And it wasn't far. She didn't have to walk like miles or anything. It was part of the same village, but she pumped the water. And I was like, wow, look at this right here. And then I think about our kids and then how spoiled some of them can be. And I said, my boys would my youngest two would have a fit if my wife was like, hey, we might need to just drop them off over here for a little while and let them figure some things out. Cause
right.
So but you said it perfectly though. So you're coming back in 2020 and what did what were some of the people who saw your trip, what were their thoughts when you were able to come back? What were their thoughts about your adventure?
For me to tell them, what I experienced, and trying to, they were like, wow, like, you went through this, you experienced this, and I said, yes, but I said, for me to tell you, it's from my experience. But you guys or family members or friends, I was saying to them, you need to come for yourself and get your own experience out of it, but you have to be willing to want to do it. No one cannot force you to do it. They were just, and in the pictures that I showed them, they was like, wow, I even explained to them when we was on the tour bus, I seen older women and younger women with the water and the canister on their head. And I'm looking as the bus is going forward, I'm looking back and I'm like, okay, where are they taking that water? I don't see a house or nothing, and then I'm like, wow, like, and I was just telling them, it's so much strength over there, I can tell you all I can tell you, but you have to go experience it for yourself, and I let some family members and friends know I'm going back in November. You can come join me if you like. But then again, they're like, oh, it's the payment, and I got to do this and I got to do that. And I'm like, okay, I gave them the website if you want to come, but, I just told them my experience. And I just said they have to experience it for themselves.
Yeah.
They have to come out of their comfort zone, because like you said, we're scared of the unknown, We all had a different mindset of how it was going to be. And for every one of us that went on that was with the group that I was with, when we got off the plane, everyone had a different outlook, like, wow, and everyone, and I know for sure everyone is changed forever.
Yeah.
With the trip, whether they go back this year, next year, 2 or 3 years from now, everyone is changed. I just want people to hear my story and that way they're interested and to want to know, well, let me see what Dottie talking about, Yeah. Because like I told him, once you go, you will be changed forever and want to know when you're going to go back.
Yeah.
Because it's still more for me to see. It's still more for me to learn,
I've been 3 times already. And I think the last time I went was the time that I learned the most.
Wow.
So I'm like, I was thinking to myself, I was telling my wife, I said, well, I've been on this tour before. I've been to these places before. I said, but for some reason, I'm learning the most on this one right here.
Yeah.
Because I think what happened was the first time I was just in awe of being there.
Right.
The second time I was in awe of the fact that I got a tour, this. So I'm in awe. I'm like, okay, wow, I said this was going to happen and here it is. So the third time was like, okay, I've been here. I've had a tour. So now I've been here, had a tour. Now I'm on a tour again. Now let me kind of take this in a little bit more and ask some more questions
Yes.
And that's what happened. And so I was like, wow. I said, this is really something. So I'm looking forward to going back. It's like I mean, even it's like I'm looking forward to going back again and learning even more, because you always, is something more you learn from it. So that's cool. Well, I will tell you this. I'm glad that you made the trip, and I'm glad that you were able to have that experience and overcome everything that you needed to overcome, go through the process, and then able to do it again. Now you're already set. You already have your visa. You already have your vaccination. So you got your yellow fever, and you got your, so you're already good to go with that. And and now it's just a matter of doing it. And that's the thing. You've unlocked something. You overcame so many hurdles that will now add so much more value to your life, because you didn't allow small things to keep you from the big picture. And that, I think that's a lesson in and of itself for anybody who's watching, because really it begins with feeling as though it's going to be overwhelming and I can't do it.
Right.
But then once you do it, it's done.
It's done. It's done. And I want to say thank you, because with Maximum Impact, you guys made it so easy, because from day one, with through the whole process, sometimes you will get discouraged, but each step that you go through and each procedure that you finish, you're like, okay, one less procedure, one less thing I need to do. Just keep going, because it can get overwhelming. And then sometimes you're like, you know what, I just whatever, but you're like, I ain't come this far to say no, but you guys were there. You guys were there to answer questions. I know, because Suzanne is the one that I communicate with a lot. I sent her text or email. She was back to me in a half an hour, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you, But you guys made it so much easier for us. You guys laid it out. We just had to come on board and do what we had to do on our end to seal the deal, to get on that 10-hour plane ride,
Hey, but that's it. But you got through it. And you have said it as real as it can be. I mean, there's no, you have spoken to all of the 10-hour flight people. You have spoken to everybody who's concerned about if they got to get a vaccination. Now, did you get 10, 12 shots? Did you?
No, one.
Let me say, were you required to get 10 or 12 shots?
None at all. Just the and when you tell people that you're going, oh, you gotta take this, you gotta take that, I said, no, it's just the yellow fever shot. Well, you gotta take this pill, you gotta take that. No, it's just one pill. So all those shots, no. All those pills, no. One shot and one pill.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, it's amazing, because the thing is, I tell people, and especially now moving forward, is letting people know that they will upsell you on anything they can. It's a money thing. They're trying to, they're using fear. Oh, you better get this, you better get that. And I mean, if somebody wants to get something else extra, they can.
Right.
But as far as what is required to go into that particular country, as what's required at the time of us talking right now, yellow fever.
Right.
And that's the only requirement. And then malaria pills are highly recommended. It's a tropical region. I think, again, as you speak to the people out there who are apprehensive, I tell people all the time, I say, just go through it. It's going to be okay. It's nothing to fear. It's going to be okay. And once you get there, it's done. Once you get your yellow fever, you don't ever have to get the yellow fever. Now, the one I got was permanent. That's all I have to get. So it's definitely good for at least 10 years. So the amount of travel I can do in 10 years, oh my goodness. And if they somehow require a booster in 10 years, okay, well, I'll just go get the booster in 10 years. And like for people who have like immune challenges and stuff like that, they even have where you can get an exemption.
Right.
So those are all of the different dynamics that come with this. It's not my whole thing is, again, I know the obstacles that we face, the mental obstacles, and I try to make it as easy as possible. And you are the perfect example of the person who, you know, felt that
Exactly.
and was able to go through it and get it done and
Yes.
have a life-changing experience and
Yes.
going back.
Exactly. And we came back. I came back. I'm not sick. I ain't catch nothing. You know, somebody waiting for you to say something. No, I came back in one piece. You know, they think you're gonna bring something back. No, none of that.
Oh my goodness. I tell you, it's a lot out here. But you know what? Each conversation I have breaks it down one by one person listening,
Yes.
one person being willing to go, this is how we change the game.
Yes.
This is how we do it. And that's the part that's going to make the difference in so many people's lives. So your story is going to reach so many people and speak to their concerns. And they're going to see that you're willing. Not only did you go, but you're willing to go back. That's the part that I think really speaks volumes. You've already been, and now you're going back.
Right.
That in and of itself really tells the tale right there. That's the tale of the tape. That's what it is.
Yes.
You being willing to go back and learn more should be really that's I mean, there's nothing else I can say about that. So anyway, anything else that you would like to share with everyone before we wrap up?
No, they just need to come on board and experience it for themselves. And I know I'm not like for yourself. You went over and over again, and we won't be the first or second or third or fourth that will go and will return. You know, I had no idea that when I went this time that I will go again until I was on the trip, and I was like, no, I have to come back. I'm going to come back. You know, so they just have to get out your comfort zone and just go see it for yourself. Hear what we say, but go see it for yourself. And everybody has their own different experience.
Well, all right. Well, you said it perfectly, Dottie. I want to thank you for joining me, and I want to thank you for sharing with everyone. And so we look forward to having you back on another Maximum Impact tour, the Gateway Experience in Africa. And so we look forward to seeing you this coming November, I believe. Yeah, November.
Yes.
So we look forward to having you.
Wonderful.